So today we're going to take you guys through a perfect one length haircut. A one length haircut is when we comb the hair all the way down from the natural fall and cut it to a one length line. A true one length should have no elevation or over direction. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take you through step by step, so follow along, and we're going to show you how to achieve a perfect one length haircut. Okay, so we're going to keep it really simple. We do not need a lot of tools to achieve this look. We're going to start with 4 cutting clips, a pair of scissors, our vent brush for blow drying, and a cutting comb. After we wet down our mannequin, we want to groom all the hair backwards. The reason we want to groom all the hair backwards, it's going to help us section and take cleaner sections throughout the haircut. So there's a couple things we want to be focused on today. Number one is our body position. Okay, we don't want to be hunched over. Okay, we want to be making sure that we protect our shoulders and our back. So you're going to see me using correct stance and correct posture as I'm actually cutting hair. The other thing we want to be very mindful of is moisture control. If the hair starts to dry, believe it or not, it can adjust our cutting length. And the reason being is because hair has elasticity when it's wet. When it's wet, the bond is open, so it will stretch more. Okay? When it's dry, the hair will retract, and again, it can adjust our cutting line. So like I said, the first thing we're gonna do after we've washed our client or shampooed our doll, we're going to be taking a section from the nose all the way down center back. Okay, center back lies on a vertical axis all the way, again, from the frontal bone all the way to the back of the nape. As you can see, I'm using my 2 fingers to drive the comb, following the nose and coming right back to the crown or the apex. Sectioning off, nice and clean, taking my time and not rushing. I'm going to turn the mannequin around so you guys can see the back. Again, I'm going to be focusing on my body position and straight down all the way into the nape. Okay? We can call this section 1 and we can call this section 2. As you can see, I'm always focused on my grooming. With a clean section, we will get a clean haircut. It's very similar to a blueprint or building a house. We need to have a plan before we can execute the plan. So what I will do then is I will take, just from behind the ear, another quadrant. Nice clean section. Combing the hair out of the way, just so I can see where I'm working. And as I said, we have our cutting clips. If you really want, you can hold onto your clips on your sleeve. Makes it much easier. I'm doing a nice firm twist, wrapping the hair around, taking my clip and clipping off the hair. Okay? This gives us a nice clean section. Okay? I am then also going to clip off this section. Again, nice and clean, I'm not rushing, and I'm taking my time. Again, nice firm twist. And sectioning it off, okay? What we do on one side, we're also gonna do on the other side, okay? Once again, I'm gonna comb that hair towards me, but I'm gonna look for the line that I used from behind the ear on the other side and do the exact same thing. So once again, combing the hair in the direction to keep it nice and clean. Okay, this isn't easy. It takes time. It takes practice. Don't feel disheartened if it doesn't come out the first time. That's why we're doing this. I constantly am still practicing these techniques and methods. And again, this section, clipped up and away. Okay, my last clip. And there we go. And there you have it. Okay guys, so like I said, we're gonna be taking you guys through the one length haircut. There's a couple things I wanna be very focused on. We're gonna work clean and we're gonna take our time, all right? The reality is we have to work in very clean sections. So we're only gonna be taking about finger width sections as we work our way up the head. This is so that we don't cut past our guide. We wanna be able to visually see where our cutting line is as we work our way up the head. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work side to side, okay? Like I said, we can measure, usually about our fingers, and we're gonna take a horizontal section, and we're gonna clip that off, okay? Let's make sure we're working nice and clean. If it doesn't stick right away, give it another twist and really make sure that that clip is in there, okay? We wanna have a nice clean canvas, all right? Now what we do on one side, we're also gonna do on the other side. So we're gonna take our clip out. You can use these clips, you can put them on the top of the head or you can put them back on your sleeve, okay? And we're gonna take another horizontal section. Again, as you guys can see, it's only about a finger width, okay? Because what we don't wanna do is take big, bulky, messy sections and not be able to see where we're working. So this will be our first section. As you guys can see, it's a nice horizontal line. It's nice and clean, all right? And we're gonna slowly do the same thing as we work our way up the head. So after putting in your 4 quadrants, this is how our first section is going to look, okay? What we've done is we've taken about a finger width of our first section and we're working our way horizontally up the head. There's a couple things we need to keep in mind here, okay? Number 1 is gonna be body position. Number 2, moisture control. Number 3 is how our fingers are sitting. We're gonna go over all those things with you, obviously, as we want you to do the best job possible. If you're new to this, do not get disheartened. This is not an easy task and it will take time to perfect. So as you can see, I'm making sure that the hair is wet. And the reason that the hair has to be wet is because it helps us and allows us much easier to control. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking a subsection within my first section. My comb will be going in, okay? And I'm not using a ton of tension, okay? I'm using just enough, all right? As you can also see, I'm not going to be bending the hair or elevating the hair. Everything is coming to, let's say, just below the bottom of the mannequin's head. Okay, the comb goes in, my fingers come behind, and I bring it right down. What I do on one side, I do on the other, switching my foot position up all the way down just to below the mannequin's neck. And cutting. So a couple things we want to be focused on is there's not a lot of tension between my 2 fingers after the second knuckle, okay? As you can see, I'm only going to be cutting to about the second knuckle because I have great tension in there, okay? As I said before, what we do on one side, we predominantly do on the other side unless we're doing something asymmetrical. Today, we're doing something completely symmetrical. The comb goes in. I bring my fingers behind the comb and I slowly work my way down until I see my cutting line. Once again, comb goes in. Okay, perfect. Now, as I said, we're going to be working our way horizontally up the head. I'm only going to be taking about finger width sections. If I go any thicker, it might be likely that I lose my guide or my perimeter line. Okay? So grooming the hair in the direction that I want it to go because it makes it much easier for sectioning. I use my index finger as a marker and I move my comb to my index finger for a nice clean section. Okay? Combing the excess out of the way, removing it, pinning it off, nice and clean. Like I said, what I do on one side, I'm going to do the same on the other. Unclip. All the way to behind the ear. And removing that hair for a nice clean section. Okay, if you don't get a clean section each time, take your time, comb the hair, clip it off. If it doesn't look like this, take your time and don't move on. Again, just to be focused, lots of clarity in this demonstration. Gonna saturate those sections again, working from the root all the way to the natural fall. Okay, my comb goes in once again, and my fingers are just mimicking the comb. Okay, cutting straight across. Comb goes into the root, all the way down, straight across. Comb goes into the root, mimicking the comb, straight across. Again, what I do on this side, I'm going to follow on this side. My back is still straight, my shoulders are back. Combing all the way, mimicking the comb. Beautiful. Okay, once again, following horizontal sections all the way to the apex of the head. Take your time, have fun. So once we've completed the back, we're going to move to the sides. Again, this is very basic. Okay, we're going to be working with horizontal sections as we climb to the top of the head, the frontal area or the apex. There's different types of one lengths. We can do our perimeter line much different each time. We can do something triangular by over-directing everything back. We can do something round by following the head shape, or we can do something square. Today I'm going to be working with a square shape. So this will be my guide, and I will be using these corners to work forward. So it'll be a square one length haircut. As I said before, what we do on one side, we usually do on the other. We're going to be focusing on grooming the hair in the direction that we want it to go. Okay, again, taking a finger width section, just horizontal, and grooming this hair out of the way. Now, if this was a real client, we wouldn't want hair falling in their face. Let's do our best to keep the hair off their face so they can enjoy their service. Okay, combing the hair down. So where do we get our guideline from? Believe it or not, we're going to take our guideline from the back, okay? That was our perimeter guideline. We're going to be using this guideline to focus on building a square one length throughout the front. Similar to the back, we're going to be working with horizontal sections all the way up to the apex or to the frontal area of the head. But at the same time, we have to be mindful of these areas, okay? The head shape starts to round here, and this area reacts differently than the back does. So every section that we take, we're going to be bringing in a little bit of our old previous perimeter to put in our line. You know, there's not too much coming off, but I want to make sure that I'm tapping in this area just to make sure that the hair doesn't jump. I'll be working all the way forward. Again, mimicking my comb, straight down. Okay, that section's a little bit too big for me. So I'm going to come back here looking for my guide. There's my guide there. There's not too much coming off, and I'm going to be tapping. Same in this section, mimicking the comb, coming all the way down. There's not too much coming off. I'm giving a little tap in there and taking that length off. Again, following all the way to the top. Same again, combing straight all the way from the root, all the way down. There's not too much coming off, just giving a quick tap. Not too much coming off, quick tap. Beautiful. I'm going to comb this last section down, and I can probably see there's not too much length coming off. So congratulations, you just finished your first one length haircut, or you're perfecting the skill, okay? What we like to do inside Glassbox is we like to make sure we leave hair as natural and as beautiful as possible. If this was something with more of a masculine feel to it, it's most likely we're not going to do a blow dry and flat iron. That's more on the feminine side. Okay, what we'll be focusing on is adding a little bit of product and diffusing. Okay, the reason we would diffuse is because we want to see that natural texture come out. So I've applied my product in my hands. Okay, I'm using the Bouncy and Tender from the L'Oreal Techniart line, and I've worked it through. All right, hair is very similar to cement. Okay, we lay cement when it's wet and mold it to dry. Very similar in hair cutting and hairdressing or hair styling. We want to put on our product in wet because we want to be able to control where we place the product. Okay, at the end of the day, it's much easier to manipulate the product through wet hair. I'm not focusing the product so much on the root, and the reason being is I don't want to leave the hair very greasy. I'm more focusing on the mid shaft and the ends. Once again, it's all about dispersing the product evenly. Okay, and if you want to have some fun, you can scrunch it, you can move the hair around, and we can go from there. What we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to be diffusing the actual hair. The reason being, we find this to be a little bit more natural within the barbershop and masculine shapes, okay? So we put the diffuser detachment on our dryer. We're going to be working, okay, on low speed but high heat, okay? There's a couple things we want to be really focused on. We do not want to be putting direct heat on the scalp. You could hurt somebody or you could burn them, all right? So what we want to be focused on is counting to about 2 or 3 Mississippis and moving around the head, making sure that we're evenly distributing the airflow, okay? So I'm gonna start my dryer, all right, and we're gonna work around the head drying, and you'll see me scrunching at times, okay, but I do not wanna be playing with the hair too much. The more I play with it, it's common the frizzier the hair might get, okay? So we'll get started. Now, if the client was in your chair, so if there's a client in your chair and you want to get a little bit more volume, you can shake the hair back, okay, manipulate it around the ears, how you want to style it, okay, make sure they're comfortable, of course, and then dry from the bottom. While the head's tilted back, it also gives you the ability to not hurt or strain yourself by drying the top. Especially with most, maybe men wearing longer length hair, they're not going to be wearing it so much on their face. So it gives you the ability to slowly groom the hair backwards. So when diffusing hair, it's also important to understand not to take out maybe all the moisture. So if the hair on scale of 0 to a 100, and so when I'm diffusing, I have to be mindful, I want to leave some moisture in the hair, okay? From 0 to 100, 0 being the wettest and 100 being the driest, I usually leave the hair about 85 to 90% dry. I will then go through with a finishing product. I'm gonna use the Techniart L'Oreal Air Fix, and I'm just gonna seal that hair. Okay, I'm spraying from a distance, nothing direct because I don't want it to be sticky, but at the same time, what that's gonna do is that's gonna give a little bit of hold while the rest of the hair dries. Perfect, you just completed your first one length haircut, or you're working on it to perfect your skills, okay? We wanna thank you for following along. Again, my name is Peter Galsing with Glassbox Barbershop and Academy. Please hit the subscribe button below and leave your comments. If you leave comments and you have questions for us, please let us know. We're happy to answer them at any time. Thank you for following along, and we'll catch you next time.